90 minutes around town for the complete tour. You're welcome to hop off anywhere, any of the stops. If you do get off, though, just remember it's about approximately an hour till the next bus will come by to pick you up. And go by the times on the schedule for pickup. And try to be at the stop a couple minutes prior so you do not miss the bus.
As a reminder, please remain seated at all times and keep your hands and body inside the vehicle. Although our city works hard to keep roadside tree branches trimmed, we do occasionally encounter some overgrowth on our tour routes. We're in the heart of historic Victoria with one of the oldest cities in the Pacific Northwest. The city's history began in this area nearly 200 years ago with the construction of a small fur trading post in 1843 owned by the Hudson Bay Company.
Further up, there's three notable pubs, mainly the Bard Banker, Garrick Head, and Irish Times, all very popular here.
And of course, there are very old buildings, including the first courthouse building, which is said to be one of Canada's most haunted places. Do you know that Victoria has the reputation of being one of the most haunted cities in Canada? You can delve deeper into Victoria's spooky past on a Discover the Past ghostly tour. Just ask your Grey Line agent for more information.
You look over to the left, you'll see two tiny buildings there behind the trees, all fenced in. Those are the two oldest remaining buildings along the Inner Harbour. They're both built in 1859. The first one was our original post office, and the second one was a bank. Now, somehow they're going to have to incorporate parts of the exteriors of those two old buildings into the new building, because that's mandatory whenever you touch an older heritage building in the core area of Victoria. They want to preserve the look and heritage of the downtown core, but they retained the original front and south wall of the Janyan Hotel, again to preserve that look and heritage of the core area.
Again on the Johnson Street Bridge, which will turn into Johnson Street. Every gold rush town had a street like Johnson Street. Always on the edge of town, this is where the dance halls, gambling halls, and saloons were. Basically, all the fun places.
So the buildings along Lower Johnson Street here, they date anywhere from 1862 to about 1910 along here. Originally they were wooden buildings right at the start of the gold rush, but they were replaced by more stable brick and concrete buildings as time went on. In the first 3 years after the gold rush hit on the mainland in 1858, the population quickly grew here. Now we're going to go up the center of Chinatown here next to the left, and look on the left-hand side for Dragon Alley. You'll see a back alley right behind the parked cars. You'll see three brick buildings in the center there. The only way to get to those three brick buildings is through the entrance of Dragon Alley. Once you go through the entrance, it takes you into inner courtyards behind that lead back to those buildings.
Keep your eyes peeled and your cameras out. On the right, look closely for a street sign that says Fan Tan Alley. This crowded byway is North America's narrowest commercial street, measuring a little over 1 meter or around 4 feet wide at either end. The alley got its name from a Chinese gambling game called Fan Tan. Fan Tan Alley and others like it once sheltered opium and gambling dens from view. Opium may have been legal at the turn of the century, but gambling was absolutely not. Even so, many alley buildings had gambling dens tucked away on the upper floors. Whenever the police appeared, the gamblers vanished through trapdoors in the floor.
Masonry building just ahead. It's Western Canada's oldest standing municipal hall, in continuous service since 1878. In the courtyard, you may spot the Centennial Square Fountain.
Peak season is up to 800 flights a week in and out of this Inner Harbour. This is the only airport I know of in Canada that they have to shut down operations due to whales on the runway. Every once in a while we have a pod of orca whales. We'll swim into the Inner Harbour, and because they're protected, they have to shut down the harbour until they swim back out.
We now have a full view of the Inner Harbour. It's still the city's main waterway nearly 175 years after the Hudson's Bay Company established Fort Victoria. And the waterway's history can be traced back for thousands of years before that. There is evidence of human life along this harbor nearly 4,000 years ago, presumably ancestors of the Lekwungen peoples. You may have noticed the lone brick building we're approaching on Wharf Street. This is Victoria's original customs house. Built in 1875, This three-story building is the oldest federal building of its kind still standing in Western Canada.
Right down below us there is where Redfish Bluefish is located, the popular
Really good
fish and chips venue you may hear people talk about around town. And you see the Coho Ferry there in the background there, carries cars and passengers to and from Port Angeles, Washington State, 23 miles away to the south. And that unique boat down below there with the cedar fencing on top is the Haven, and that's a floating spa.
All right, we're stopped for a few minutes because the audio on the bus is not working, and they pulled out the thing and found out that a plug was unplugged and our wire was unplugged, so now we're moving again. So far, pretty cool though, if you get a nice day.
The stone pathway juts 800 meters, or just under a half mile, out into the water with an iconic lighthouse at the tip. It is a favorite walking place for locals who aren't afraid to take a stroll here in any weather. Standing out there on the breakwater when the wind picks up and the rain starts falling, breathing in the salty air and feeling the chill on your face is a true taste of Pacific Northwest. The breakwater is also a designated marine sanctuary.
Vancouver Island is surrounded by breathtaking, beautiful scenery, mountain vistas, ocean views, rocky shores, and old-growth rainforests.
There's 24 peacocks here in the park. You may see some up ahead. Should be a couple of them around, usually up by the petting farm, or over to our left up here, just coming up where these trees are.
We're about to stop at the children's petting farm where friendly goats and many other farm animals are waiting to greet you. Hop off here to visit the city's biggest green space. Beacon Hill Park has something for everyone. Hike along the coastline to take in beautiful ocean vistas towards the Olympic Peninsula. There are no admission fees anywhere in the park but the petting zoo, which takes donations to help care for the animals.
Now over here to the right is the largest of the ponds here. It's called Goodacre Lake. And if you look to your right, you're going to see a log. And there they are. The turtles are lined up on the log today.
Baby ducks.
They come up there to bask in the sun. And on a sunnier day, that whole log would be completely covered with turtles.
Just ahead. When the Sisters of St. Anne arrived here from Quebec in the mid-1800s, the nunnery was nothing more than a log cabin with no heat. Almost immediately, they set up a much-needed school for the children of Victoria. They also established St. Joseph's Hospital.
You may have noticed some of the stone fences in the estates are topped with jagged rocks. This was done to deter loiterers from sitting on the fences of these prestigious homes, keeping their image clean. Many of these homes even have names. They were often given a name that simply sounded appealing, or one that was like that of the owner. Their mark forever left on the wonderful estates.
And it's one of the few wood churches in Victoria that was untouched by fire. Almost every wood church in Victoria had a severe fire or was burnt to the ground.
So cool. This stop, Christchurch Cathedral. Hop off here to explore one of the largest churches in Canada.
Beer
Take some
and
time
hams.
to unwind in the Brit Meditation Circle, or walk the beautiful trees and perennial flowers surrounding the cathedral. Be sure to wander Pioneer Square, just next to the cathedral. This was Victoria's main cemetery until 1873, and many founding members of the city have been laid to rest here. This stop, Oak Bay Beach Hotel. Hop off here to experience their historic pub or grab gourmet treats at the cafe, which features the original hotel entrance, hand-hewn beams, and fireplace. Keeping with Victoria's spooky past, there is a ghost that haunts the golf course. Doris Gravlin was murdered in 1936 and is often seen throughout the golf course and beach as a figure in all white, gliding through the grass and over the road, giving motorists quite the fright.
The Songhees people lived here for 67 years before being displaced by settlers to their current reserve in 1911.
To the left, the Dutch Tower is a bell tower, plays a tune every hour during the day. Here to the right is the Emily Carr statue. There's that monkey Woo on her right-hand shoulder there, and her little dog Benny down beside her. Her original home is 6 blocks up to the left of us on Government Street. It's been turned into an interpretive center for her work. That concludes the 90-minute tour for those that got on early and when the narration wasn't working. If you got the time, I would encourage you just to take the first part of the tour again. And you can just go through the downtown, whatever, and you can end up over here at the steamship terminal. If you're limited for time.
All right, so we just got off of that bus tour that we recommended. That was through Gray Line. It's this big red double-decker bus. Got inside seating downstairs, and then upstairs you can have open air. So we had 15 stops, and it took you all over. So when you first get here, come here to the Empress, which is just an awesome hotel, which we'll be staying at later this week for a couple nights. As you can see behind us, it's unbelievable, really. You come in here, you get your tickets. Just make sure you don't make the mistake we did. We tried to get on it in our hotel, which was the Delta, and luckily the guy was really nice and let us get on. But we also stopped at some other stops where they didn't allow people to get on, not without the ticket. So you have to come to the Empress. That's where you sign up. If you do it online, that's where you get your ticket validated. Even on the email, it may give you confirmation. You still have to get the tickets here at the Empress. So anyway, the stops are awesome. You can get on and off. It goes from, I think, 9:30 to 5:30. So you have plenty of time just to stop, go eat lunch, brunch, mid-lunch, I don't know, all the teas, all kind of different stuff they have. Takes you up to Beacon Hill to the park, takes you over to the coast, takes you through some of the quaint little towns. And so the reason why we recommend you do one of these tours when you first get here is just because now that we've done that, now we really have a really good idea of what this whole city has to offer and like where we want to go next, when we want to take lunch or where we want to go to our next dinner or what have you. So highly recommend doing one of these tours. Even if you don't do this one, the walking tours are only going to get you right around this main downtown area. You really have to do one of these other type of tours, whether it be a bus, maybe a bike or something like that, where you can get quickly around. Otherwise, the walking distance, I mean, this would be 15 miles or so. So I guess you could try to walk it in a week, but that wouldn't be very easy. Anyway, off to get some lunch and do some more sightseeing.